Rural Industries Council Chairman disappointed with agriculture budget. Police division's brawl over domestic violence case. And Electoral Commissioner highlights election funding challenges.
This is National MTV News with Rabaul.
Good evening. Thank you for joining me for Friday's news. The government's lack of funding support for two key organizations in agriculture in 2016 is disappointing. Rural Industries Council Chairman Sir Brownby said this in response to the 2016 national budget, which showed nil funding to PNG Oil Palm Industry Corporation and the Livestock Development Corporation.
In the 2016 national budget, the agriculture sector has been allocated 105.1 million kina under the economic sector proportion of the national budget. But the lack of funding for two key agricultural bodies has not gone down well with the Rural Industries Council. Its chairman, Sir Brownby, said he was disappointed with the government's decision not to provide funding for Oil Palm Industries Corporation and Livestock Development Corporation in the 2016 national budget, two agencies which he says are critical in the agriculture sector.
Despite the fact that there have been increases in the economic sector in the 2016 budget, there are two industries, namely PNG Oil Palm and Livestock Development Corporation, that were not given any appropriations even from 2015 and again in 2016.
2016 will be the second year in a row that these two organizations have not received allocations, as both did not receive funding in the 2015 budget. This, according to Sir Brown, is dangerous as both OPIC and LCD are key to growing the oil palm and livestock industries in PNG.
The oil palm industry accounts for about 1.2 billion kina on export revenue to the nation. And there are 19,960 registered smallholders who are involved in planting oil palm. Livestock includes basically piggery, cattle, and sheep, and things like that. There are so many Papua New Guineans also involved in there. So that's why, when I was making those comments, I was cognizant of the fact that we are talking about the real welfare of our people.
However, despite this, Sir Brown has urged all within the agriculture sector to continue working hard to ensure that agriculture remains the backbone of the PNG economy.
It is important that the government and everyone involved in developing PNG must realize that agriculture is a significant contributor in its entirety to the economy and the people.
Deli Waigeno, National MTV News.
The Morobe Provincial Executive Council has allocated 2 million kina for the implementation on the ban on street vendors and the crackdown on shops that supply them. Stores will have their licenses removed if they continue to give illegal vendors the items to sell on the streets. This PEC decision comes after a two-day protest against street vendors and petty crimes several days ago. A domestic violence case between a police officer and his wife earlier this week has escalated into an exchange of fists between two units of the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. Last night, the guardhouse at the Bomana Police Training College outside Port Moresby was ransacked and two police officers assaulted by their own colleagues. MTV's Tekla Gunga reports.
When MTV arrived at the scene at 10 this morning, there was a confrontation between members of the dog unit and the police college. Confirmed police reports state that the confrontation followed last night's attack, where 4 guards guarding the entrance of the police college were outnumbered, and this guardhouse rampaged by angry members from the dog unit. This footage shows parts of the guardhouse that were rampaged.
Myself and director and all this, we're trying to come up there and talk to our people living here. That we have some of the Delta boys living with us. However, these boys, 2 of them, were assaulted by our members here again. And that instigated the whole confrontation which you saw.
Since the incident on Monday evening, small confrontations were staged between the 2 units, mainly at the main entrance and the second gate of the college.
It's unfortunate. I think from that, yesterday, there was an attack to the gate where you saw. And a lot of things were damaged and computer, so laptop was stolen and our policemen were threatened and all these things. So.
Following a discussion between the 2 unit heads, the assault case was given over to NCD police to treat as a criminal case. However, new developments in the confrontations today have suspended a training program for the new police recruits that was supposed to begin this week. EMTV was not able to get an on-camera interview with the head of the dog unit. However, a report on this incident is expected to be submitted to the police commissioner today. This case has been handed over to the Gordon's police to further investigate. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Today, the decomposed body of a woman was discovered at 15 Mile River Camp outside Port Moresby. An eyewitness said the body was wrapped in a plastic bag and was floating downstream when it was discovered. Police forensics were called to the scene to retrieve the body before transporting it to the Port Moresby General Hospital. The identity of the victim is not yet known. Anyone missing a loved one are asked to contact police forensics for more information. The government has put in place new regulations that will change the way technical advisors under aid-funded programs are engaged and contracted to the state. The new regulations are expected to overcome problems affecting aid programs. Part of the new rules will see the removal of foreign government staff from technical advisor positions within the public service.
In a media conference held yesterday, Secretary Kali explained that the new regulation is a result of the Prime Minister's recent announcement on the employment of citizen and non-citizen technical advisors. The new regulation is expected to help address problems affecting aid programs. With the new rules, technical advisors will be obliged to serve the state under the laws of PNG.
So in future, all advisors will no longer be the staff of foreign governments, and they will now be required to sign and execute contracts with the Papua New Guinea government.
Technical advisors will be able to occupy line positions. The new regulations, however, do not cover any of the aid programs and technical advisors engaged on the disciplinary services, judicial and magisterial services, universities, and other state-owned entities. Effective as of the 1st of January 2016, staff of foreign governments will be removed from technical advisors' positions in the public service. This now requires a review of aid programs.
I will be having a series of meetings in the next few weeks or so. Firstly, with the agency heads, departmental heads, provincial administrators, and then with the donor agencies to make sure that this mechanism or these regulations implemented immediately.
Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
A handover report for a new PNG Electoral Commissioner points out areas of improvement that government must invest in to see an efficient and transparent 2017 national general elections. The report, compiled by outgoing Commissioner Sir Andrew Trowen, emphasizes the need to split the Highlands region into 2 and increasing manpower for the election operations. Sir Andrew presented these to both the Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and Opposition Leader Don Pollier during his farewell last night.
With the approaching 2017 national general election, Sir Andrew challenged the national government to plan ahead. Early planning will ensure smooth and successful conduct of elections. His comments follow the limited 10 million kina in next year's budgetary allocation for the PNG Electoral Commission for the national general elections.
And that includes the increase of manpower in the Electoral Commission, in finance, human resources, ICT, audit, the ICAP, increased PNG staff strength on the election operations, splitting the Highlands region into two regions, one to cater for the eastern and one to cater for the western end. The need to create a compliance unit to cater for issues that I have raised earlier.
He said inappropriate funding over the years has contributed to many issues encountered during elections. Sir Andrew proposed to introduce and continue the use of biometric and electronic voting systems that will minimize illegal or multi-voting in the coming elections. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Chairman of Investigation Task Force Sweep, Sam Koim, has raised concerns about the funding allocation for the Independent Commission Against Corruption, or ICAC. He says these could increase corrupt activities which are already rampant. He has called on the government to ensure agencies tasked to combat corruption are adequately funded.
The fight against corruption could hit a stalemate if the government continues to deprive funding to agencies tasked to combat corruption. The National Anti-Corruption Task Force established to oversee the establishment of ICAC has not received any funding either. Koim is concerned corruption could flourish under these circumstances.
Parliament has just introduced the organic law on ICAC, just the last sitting, but there is no allocation for ICAC for next year. In the years that ICAC was not in operation, 45 million kina was allocated. In the year that supposedly ICAC is going to be operating, there is no budgetary allocation in the 2016 budget.
These agencies, including the Investigation Task Force Sweep, were once fully funded. Koim says ICAC could just be another monster created by the government without any real impact in combating corruption if it does not receive any funding.
Everything that the government was doing was subjected to the scrutiny of the court, and the courts have independently spoken in most, if not all of those cases, that all these are motivated with bad faith. And the courts have been granting orders to prevent those actions from happening, and I don't think they will stop at nothing in the whole scheme of things and in the way things are going.
Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
High maternal and newborn mortality rates in the country can be improved by engaging specialist midwives. This is according to PNG Midwifery Society Acting President Jennifer Piakalia. Her statements come as many rural areas in the country continue to engage village midwives to assist in childbirth cases. A meeting of midwifery nurses will be held this year to focus on encouraging professional midwives within the health sector.
Maternal care in the country is an area health professionals have been trying to improve on for the benefit of mothers and pregnant women. Health institutions and few organizations are working to involve professionally trained midwives by engaging skilled workers in this profession. The PNG Midwifery Society this year holds its first midwifery meeting, which highlights involvement of quality, trained and skilled midwives within the health sector.
We would like to extend our profession into the community as well, and that I think it's very important for us. Currently, with the high maternal mortality in Papua New Guinea, we would like to do whatever we can to decrease.
In many rural areas around the country, mothers and pregnant women who cannot walk long distances to the nearest aid post give birth in their homes with the help of village midwives. Skilled midwives present at rural clinics who attend to the rising needs of these mothers in rural locations are also far and few between.
Working with a department, we would like to see in the future that the 89 districts in this country, we want a midwife to be stationed there.
The challenge has been limited resources, including trained midwives and funding available to serve the rising needs of pregnant women and mothers. Colin Barilai, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. Calls for reduced taxes on airfares and more when we return. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. High tax charges on domestic airfares continues to be an issue for Papua New Guinea. These charges do not make Papua New Guinea an attractive local tourist destination. This was a concern raised by locals of Northern Province, calling on the national government to discuss and resolve this matter. Fabian Hakalitz was in Popondetta and files this report.
Papua New Guinea is a highly potential tourism destination with many products to offer to both local and international tourists. However, the local tourism industry hasn't been fully exploited because of substantial high tax rate charges on domestic airfares. Mary Oriri, a Popondetta local, told MTV News high tax rates have affected the growth and promotion of local tourism in Papua New Guinea. And for this reason, most Papua New Guineans cannot fly to other provinces. Oriri has called on the national government to reduce airfare taxes.
My concern is that there is more companies coming into the province, but more taxes have been paid to the national government. There's little been done into the province.
This same issue was also raised in Wewak by a local villager, Maggie Boyd.
Right price, only can mark him how long or distance or balusi fly we work to medang by kind of them. Can have a legal price number out now. People like route that's all money that's all working now plus away. Stop all same.
A very vocal MP and Northern Province Governor Gary Jufa is pleading on behalf of citizens of this nation. Addressing the public during PNG Air's maiden flight to Giro Airport, Popondetta yesterday, said high tax charges are impediments to the tourism industry and development.
If they can address this, if they can reduce those taxes, it will significantly improve transportation for our ordinary people. And that is one of the greatest impediments to tourism. The greatest impediments to development are those substantial taxes that discourage air travel.
Governor Jufa has assured the people of Papua New Guinea that he will fight for this in Parliament.
So I want to assure you that in Parliament I will be doing my best to try to encourage the government to reduce those taxes so that travel can be easily accessible by all.
Meanwhile, the report Papua New Guinea 2015 by Oxford Business Group states, while PNG has plenty to offer business and adventure tourists, a major drawback is high cost of domestic airfares, and inland travel requires professional logistics coordination. Governor Jupa's concern was on high tax rate that is being charged on airfares for passengers traveling in and around Papua New Guinea. He says he will task the national government to ensure that this tax is reduced and is also to promote the tourism industry. At Giro Airport in Northern Province, Fabian Hakalitz, National MTV News.
Proposed new developments in Rabaul, East New Britain are being questioned by landowners following the government's plans to redevelop Simpson Harbour and its surrounding areas. Chairman of the Rabaul Incorporated Land Group, Andrew August, says the land issues around Matupit and Rabaul Harbour have remained unattended to for many years. The landowners are calling for mutual discussions with developers regarding their outstanding land issues.
While the landowners of Rabaul town may have welcomed new developments along their shorelines, They remained skeptical because of past experiences. They are seeking recognition to their land title that hasn't been looked into since the end of German and Australian colonial rule. Chairman of the Rabaul Incorporated Land Group, Andrew August, says their numerous appeals to the port stakeholders have gone unheeded.
After legislative petition till today, got feedback from these two entities. PNG Port, I believe it's a SOE, state-owned entity of the government, with due respect, where any landlord law harbor.
3 months ago, the landowners protested and forced a temporary shutdown to port operations at the Rabaul Harbour. They presented a petition and demanded a sit-down discussion with the port operators and the provincial government. Rabaul town has seen better days. The town is slowly recovering from the 1994 volcanic disaster, but it is a town with new prospects of economic developments. The port will be redeveloped to cater to extensive maritime businesses, and a proposed thermal power station is to be built in Matupit using the volcanic hot springs and steam vents. Earlier this week, questions on the Rabaul Harbour issues were put to the Public Enterprise and State Investment Minister Ben Micah.
What my policy has now done is that it's got the landowners to become partners, all right, so that they can also get dividends from ownership of the port. They will not only get security, but they will get other contracts, catering contract, even pilotage.
Rabaul town is a strategic location for East New Britain province. Food and fuel supplies land here first before they are transported to other parts of the province. Any disruption to the port operation will affect the entire province. Meanwhile, the landowners have asked for a roundtable discussion with concerned stakeholders before any new development can begin, and that hasn't happened yet. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
The communities of Kutubu in the Southern Highlands province are proud and looking forward to the first batch of grade 12 students graduating from Kutubu Secondary School. Locals told EMTV News it's a relief because previously children had to travel all the way to Mangol and Nipa to attend classes. 6 schools are in the Pimaga district of Nipa Kutubu electorate.
Mibla digar so all narrow line will come from Mibla na Mibla to Hamas. Na school Mibla now 100 plus student by graduate law.
Cases of sexual offences in Kutubu Southern Highlands province have increased. This is according to Moro Police Station Commander Edward Aupong. MTV's Fabian Hakalitz has more.
Escalating violence in the communities within families and individuals in Kutubu has led to many sexual offences being committed. Commander Aupong told MTV News that most of these cases are sexual offences against women committed by locals.
Serious, but there are offences like the sexual offences here. Well, it's mostly against women. Yes, only against women.
On average, 2 cases are reported monthly, but that has increased. Just this morning, a rape case was reported. Commander Aupong said these are part of the petty crimes committed, sexual offences, assault and threats reported daily to the Moro Police Station. Since taking office in 2012, he has adopted a community policing concept to address a lot of the issues.
And I think it's working pretty well. Yeah, it's working pretty well. Yes, I'm actually really dealing with the local people. Yeah, and the councillors are the people that have actually gone through.
On juvenile cases, Moro doesn't have a detention center able to hold juveniles.
Get these juveniles into mainly for processing. Yeah, but not so much here because we don't have the right people.
Meanwhile, police will conduct their normal Christmas and New Year operations. Aupong said festive season operations have already been planned. Fabian Hakalitz, National EMTV News.
The East New Britain Provincial Government has launched its first ever Customary land online database for the province. The Division of Lands and Physical Planning initiated the move to reduce land issues as East New Britain is seeing a development boom. This also comes following concerns raised by landowners over unsolved land disputes that have accumulated for over 50 years. MTV's Edwin Fidelis reports from Kokopo.
A backlog of land issues that have dragged on since the 1950s in East Nubitan province have attracted the provincial administration's attention to look into these issues. And yesterday, the issues finally got recognition. Representatives from landowner groups gathered at Vunapope Hall in Kokopo to witness the launching of this customary land online database. The inclusion of this latest technology will cater to up-to-date storage of land registration, land boundaries, and even the information relating to the inheritance of the land.
There are petitions coming from individuals from within the clan and are causing a lot of challenges to my administration, especially lands in terms of development. So the theme of this launching is engineering land management information system for future efficiency.
The unsolved land issues in East Nubitan has been leveled against poor collective political will by successive governments over the years, both at the provincial and national level.
Since 1975, when the land dispute settlement act came into force, it's been got planting and mediators. It's not only been started strong, but because of the poor financial support from the government, past governments going up now, something died as also.
While the new initiative seeks to accommodate these 50-years-old land issues, it is also looking into the future. While East Nubitan is going through a rapid change in development, it will need more land. Allowing developments to happen would mean negotiating with the landowners whom in recent years have become so skeptical about how their land will be used. In recent years, customary landowners have come to a point of realization about the importance of land and its scarcity as a development commodity in most parts of Papua New Guinea, while past experiences involving land disputes have become lessons for the Rabaul, the Bindings and the Pomio people. They want to make sure that those experiences won't happen again. Edwin Fidelis, National MTV News, Kokopo.
Morobe Governor Kelly Naru says 10 million kina coming from the national government next year isn't enough to deliver services in the province. The national government has slashed Provincial Services Improvement Program funds from 45 million kina to 10 million kina. The national government says falling commodity prices has caused the funding cuts in non-vital areas. Bethany Herman reports from Leh.
This morning at the Morobe Provincial Government car park, 2 trucks were given to the Bulolo District's Warrior Road program. The trucks come from provincial government funds or PSIP funds allocated by the national government. This year, 5 million kina from the 45 million kina has been received. Next year, that 45 million kina will be reduced to 10 million kina.
I'll give him 10 million across the board along all the provincial governors inside along this 22 provinces.
The national government has blamed falling commodity prices for the cut in non-essential areas. Governor Naru's argument is Morobe has 9 districts and service delivery will be affected. This year, the provincial government had to cut back costs in some areas to continue its rural Medivac program.
That's all argument long all people also. One kind you give him long manus na oro, you know not give him one kind long Morobe. Because Morobe is big platumas.
The 2016 national budget projection sees 10 million kina being allocated to the 22 provinces of Papua New Guinea. For smaller provinces like the Manus province, the effects of that budget allocation cutback won't be as severe as that of the Morobe province. Bethany Harriman, National MTV News, Leh.
Still on the subject of the 10 million kina PSIP, whilst receiving 2 trucks for the Warrior Road program from the Morobe provincial government, Bulolo MP Sam Basil also commented on the national government's slash in PSIP funds. Basil says the 10 million kina funding for Morobe province won't cater for a total population of nearly 1 million people.
Governor Bloyumi got 1 million population lo Morobe province na mix him 10 million. 1 man and spend him 10 kina lo 1 man. This is unequal, equal distribution because lo Morobe you may got plenty opportunity lo you may stop in this and creating good tax revenue income block national government. Port services blow you may close to 1 billion kina. We going to paus blow government. Or gaming board machine blow you may stop I'm raising 3 or 4 or 500 million blow you national government. Now.
And now a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3395 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3320, $0.4629 Australian dollars, $0.3038 euro, and 40.39 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold closed lower, while coffee, cocoa, and copra closed the day higher. Palm oil, crude oil, and copper closed the day lower. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed at 254 points higher, the ASX closed at 45 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 46 points higher as well. Here with National EMTV News, we'll have stories making headlines overseas when we return. Welcome back to the news. Like any other airline company, safety first is the key message. And PNG Air has also taken on board safety as its first priority, the core to its business operations. First step is investing more on training and staff development, fundamental throughout the process of introducing the ATR aircraft within its fleet.
A brand new aircraft means training of ground operations staff is heavily invested on and vital for passenger safety. Ground Operations Training Manager Faith Seller told MTV News the company has prioritized staff training as a core to its business, ensuring they are skillful and knowledgeable. This is to ensure safety features like the hotel mode of this new ATR aircraft are followed.
With the hotel mode running, we have to keep passengers away as well as our staff on the right-hand side of the aircraft. So it is very important that the staff understand why we have to do that. Hence, we've been running the training.
Theory and practical training are essential, and with proven flights to selected ports, staff are able to apply what they have learned during in-house training.
Able to open and close all the cargo compartment doors, as well as the tail stand, the prop strap, and the aligning of the safety codes for the passengers during deboarding and boarding procedures. Passengers have to be away at all times from the props as well as the tail and the wing team.
According to PNG Air, safety is paramount, and throughout the process of introducing the ATR 72-600 aircraft and developing the brand, all staff are heavily involved in planning and training. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, an Australian entrepreneur took a cruise around New York's Statue of Liberty on a jetpack. David Mayman has claimed his jetpack is the world's only jetpack.
Is it a bird? Is it a plane? It's a man in a jetpack flying around the Statue of Liberty.
It was awesome. It was a dream come true, and I was just having a blast.
Though the actual blast off from a boat was fairly gentle. The founder of Jetpack Aviation, David Mayman, is the test pilot, and yes, he and his chief designer had to get all kinds of approvals to pull this off.
The FAA asked, what is it? What is it? A jetpack? What is that?
The flight lasted about 5 minutes. The pilot uses hand controls and his body to steer, though Mayman took one hand off the controls for a second.
I saluted Lady Liberty, and on one of the passes I stopped and turned around and gave her a salute.
Mayman has been hooked on jetpacks ever since he first saw James Bond take off in one in Thunderball. For 10 years, Mayman and designer Nelson Tyler have worked together. Tyler helped design the rocket belt that sent up a man for less than 30 seconds at the 1984 Olympics. For the Statue of Liberty flight, the designer told his pilot,
"Fly slow and careful and not too high."
Yeah, I didn't hear that message, I don't think.
Next thing you know, he was 100 feet up doing 65 miles an hour. Mayman says he can imagine eventually selling a jetpack for the price of a super luxury car, somewhere in the ballpark of $100,000. There are other devices that transform men into flying machines. Some are big and bulky. Others, like these jet wings, require takeoff from a chopper and landing via parachute. But Mayman wants a jetpack like the one 007 wore.
No well-dressed man should be without one.
Yes, very practical. No well-dressed man should be without one, especially when taking liberties with a certain well-dressed lady.
Kurdish forces have launched a major offensive to retake the town of Sinjar from ISIS. The terror group captured the Iraqi town in August last year and abducted thousands of women and girls, forcing them into slavery. The renewed fighting has forced desperate refugees to arrive on the shores of Europe.
Hands starts to wave. The team on land signals back. The volunteers have witnessed this countless times before. The frantic disembarkment brought on by the overwhelming emotions of having survived. Just over 24 hours ago, 18 people drowned in these waters. A mother cradles her child, who was handed over to medics, relief etched on her face. It is hardest on the little ones, wrapped quickly to keep them warm. This group is from Afghanistan. Greek lifeguard volunteers keep their eyes peeled on the horizon as more arrive, these refugees fleeing war-torn Syria. Others wait for ferries to the mainland. Exhausted children sleep anywhere. 2-year-old Ali is in his favorite Tigger outfit, the only thing brought to remind him of home. All his toys were left behind. Ali is from Jarablos. His uncle, the family says, was one of the first 5 rebel fighters beheaded by ISIS when they took over before Ali was even born. We had to leave, his mother says. It's only now that I was able to save the money, his father adds. Both want to remain unidentified. Their own parents are still living under ISIS. The flood of refugees has not decreased with the coming of winter, and no crackdown on smuggling, no fences put up by European nations is going to stop the most desperate of peoples.
The visuals do tend to speak for themselves. This massive pile of life jackets is just a fraction of what you will find littering the beaches, the coastline of this island.
Each family, each person has a heartbreaking story of leaving everything behind, knowing that their children may never see their homeland in their lifetimes.
You're watching National MTV News. Trukai Sports is up next, and the world-class National Football Stadium to host 2016 National League competitions.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Sports Minister Justin Chichenko is hoping the first matches of the POM RFL and the Intercity Cup will be played in March next year. The National Football Stadium is world-class, designed for rugby league, and has been internationally certified.
Local rugby league games in Port Moresby can now host their matches at a world-class facility starting next year.
Games, the PRL, Port Moresby Rugby League and the Digicel Cup playing there for the season of 2016.
The 2016 Intercity Cup season will be played at the National Stadium. The contractors working on the stadium have reassured Sports Minister Justin Chichenko that the facilities will be ready in time for competitions.
And I've been given all the reassurances by the contractor when I visited there a month ago and by the board and trustees that they will definitely have that facility ready for the 2016 season.
The stadium will be officially opened by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill once complete and will be followed by the first match of next season. Elijah Levent, National MTV Sports.
Still on Rugby League, and an early Christmas gift for the Wildlife Titans Rugby League Club of Erima in Port Moresby. Their brother team, the Gold Coast Titans Rugby League Club of Australia, has donated jerseys and school materials. The club was formed by players, mostly from nearby settlements and the Erima community. This donation was timely for the team, as the year marks the first year in the Erima suburban competition. Moving on, and the Papua New Guinea Sports Foundation is now administering all sporting facilities within the country. Sports in the country or Port Moresby will have to enter into agreements with the PNG SF to use the facilities.
Sports and recreational venues were acquired by the government under one title, which will come under the Sports Foundation to monitor, and is now open for various sporting federations to liaise with the foundation on how best they can use their facilities.
At this stage, we basically kept them shut, most of the major venues, and those venues are the Sejonga's Sports Precinct, Tarama Aquatic and Indoor Centre, Rita Flynn Indoor Centre, Rita Flynn Netball Centre as well, and Aviation Sports Precinct. So the reason why we've kept them shut is to ensure that the contractors who were building the facilities before the game started actually finish all the defects and all the deferred works that were not completed during game time.
Sporting federations will have to negotiate terms and conditions of use with the Sports Foundation to ensure that the sub-liaise they get ensures the facilities are well looked after and maintained with the employment of manpower that are on ground to do the job.
Major events or obviously national events which the sports associations want to get into, there is a process in place. Obviously there needs to be an official letter that comes to my office, then it will be penned off to the different venues to handle. And there is a little cost involved, but we're here. As I said in the beginning, the events, the facilities are here for sports, and we will work with sports to ensure that there's maximum participation at all levels. Yes.
Venues like the Tarama Aquatic Center and other venues that was closed to the public will be open on the 6th of December for the public to use facilities like swimming pool and the gym. Mike Hoime, National EMTV Sports.
Ahead in Trukai Sports, Toya Whistle has new coaches and the 2019 Rugby World Cup qualification process cleared. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. PNG Sprint Queen Toya Whistle is now training under the watchful eyes of new coaches Alison and Tony Fair. Toya's decision comes after she believes it's for her best interest to become a better and faster athlete representing Papua New Guinea.
2 years under the guidance of coach Sharon Hannon, Whistle has decided to walk out. Whistle says her decision is based on the attitude of her coach towards PNG athletes during the recent Pacific Games. She says Sharon Hannon's style of coaching did not suit her, resulting in her missing out several weeks of training. Whistle bagged a total of 4 gold and 1 silver in the Pacific Games: 100, 200, 400, 4x100 and 4x400 meters. Whistle is currently one of the best sprinters in the region. She will be training closely with both coaches Alison and Tony Fairweather. Tony believes she can perform better with a good coach to qualify for next year's 2016 Rio Olympic Games. Rafaela Kaure, National EMTV Sports.
To cricket now, and the BSP PNG Barramundis started their tour of the United Arab Emirates on a high note with a thrilling 2-wicket victory over Oman in a practice one-day match in Dubai yesterday. Chasing 252 for victory in 36 overs, the Barramundis got off to a brisk start, with Tony Ura and Vani Vagimore putting on 48 runs for the first wicket in 6.2 overs. Mahuru Dai, Sesebao and Asad Vala continued the momentum, making a quick contribution to keep the Barramundis in the match. Reva hit a boundary to give victory to the Barramundis by 2 wickets. Pacific Island nations will have a shot at qualifying for the 2019 Rugby World Cup. World Rugby announced that regional and cross-regional qualifications for the next World Cup. 8 more teams will secure a spot at the tournament.
12 countries have already qualified for the 2019 Rugby World Cup in Japan after they finished in the top 3 of their respective pools at the World Cup just months ago. Australia, New Zealand, South Africa and Argentina are among 12 countries that have already qualified. World Rugby has released the regional qualification process for the 2019 Rugby World Cup in Japan. And among the qualification, Pacific nations will have a shot for a spot at the tournament. A Pacific Tri-Nations Championship between Fiji, Tonga and Samoa will be the qualification for 2 Oceania teams to book their place at the tournament.
The loser of the Pacific Tri-Nations will play off with the second-ranked nation in the Rugby Europe Championship, with the winner decided on aggregate over 2 legs. By having the regional qualification process, this will provide an avenue for nations to compete within their region for a shot at the next Rugby World Cup. Dion Kombeng, National EMTV Sports.
And then Shukai Sports will bring you the weather details for the next 24 hours after the break.
Shukai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. First of all, in the southern region, Port Moresby mostly fine. To the Momase region, Lae and Wau mostly fine weather. Fine weather as well expected in Madang, Wewak and Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, Lorangau mostly fine and fine weather expected in Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, cloudy, partly cloudy with morning fog in Goroka and Kundiawa, and low cloud but fine in Mendi and Wabag. And that ends the news for today, Friday the 13th of November 2015. On behalf of the EMTV News team, have a safe weekend. Good night.